Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross from PTCGRadio, and everybody's talking about this new Night March deck which has been coming around lately, so I thought I would go ahead and give it a go for you. Now, I don't know if it's going to be a particularly amazing or exciting deck. This is something we're going to have to look at in the future, but I had a quick go with it. One thing I will say right off the bat, as I've said on my podcast recently, I have been having technical problems. I'm on a new setup at the moment, and I'm recording straight into Camtasia rather than recording separately in Audacity, so if the audio quality is of a noticeably lower ebb, please do let me know. So I've started off here with a Pumpkaboo on the bench and an Eevee active. Now, for those that don't know, there are 3 Pokemon in the new set with the Night March attack, and they are Lampent, Pumpkaboo and Joltik. Each of them do 20 damage times the number of Pokemon with Night March in your discard pile, so you try and get a bunch of Pokemon with Night March in your discard pile, and then attack with Night March. The one I've chosen to pair it with here is quite obviously Flareon, because Flareon also does more damage depending on how many Pokemon are in your discard pile. So that's my plan, and I'm starting off here against a Wobbuffet. Now, Wobbuffet is from the new set, and what this Wobbuffet does is it blocks abilities while it's active, and this ability is for the discard pile and from the hand and the field, but only on non-psychic Pokemon. So you see he's getting a Dusknoir up there. Dusknoir will still have abilities. Now I start off and I've got a Battle Compressor, and Battle Compressor is absolutely brilliant because Battle Compressor allows me to search my deck for any free cards and discard them. Now I've put Lampent in this deck, and I haven't gone and put Litwick. I don't want Litwick, I want Lampent. I don't want to start with Lampent, I don't want to attack with Lampent. All I want to do with Lampent is get it in the discard pile as soon as I possibly can. So I run Battle Compressor and I stick a bunch in the discard pile. I've then started with a computer search, which I'm going to use to discard the other Lampent and the N, because I'm clearly going to attach the Double Colourless and Juniper this particular turn. And already, ladies and gentlemen, you can see I'm off to a fairly nice start here. This is very, very good indeed. And I'm going to computer search for a Joltik. I don't really want to be attacking with Joltik. It's only got 30 HP. So I'm going to Juniper, and I've already got 5, I think, Night March Pokemon in my discard pile to start with. And I'm only actually playing 3 Battle Compressors, and I've drawn into the other 2. You can see that I've got all 4 Lampent, I've got my Joltik. The question here is, what do? I could discard the rest of my Joltik, but the problem is that Joltik attacks for a DCE. Yeah, he's only got 30 HP, but I can stick a Joltik down, attach a DCE, and boom, right away, I'm attacking with Joltik, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is good. So I'm going to discard a Sigilyph. I'm going to get rid of 1 Joltik. The reason I'm getting rid of Sigilyph, it doesn't look like I'm going to need it much in this matchup. I believe I'm playing 2 of them, maybe. It's a very new list. And at the end of the day, I am playing Flareon as well, so what I want to do is get rid of as many Pokemon as I can. The problem is, I find myself in situations like this where what else do I discard? I want to attack with Pumpkaboo. I want to keep Sigilyph for later on if my opponent is using Psychic Pokemon, because Sigilyph doesn't actually get its ability turned off by Wobbuffet, so I can still use it. Although Wobbuffet's ability only works if it's active, and Wobbuffet can attack Sigilyph because it's not an EX. So that's what I've chosen to do, and I end my turn. Now, one thing I'm not doing here, I'm not playing Dimensional Valley, and that's clearly a mistake, because Pumpkaboo takes 3 energy to attack, Joltik only takes 2, but if there's a Dimensional Valley down, Pumpkaboo can then attack for a DCE. Now, my opponent so far, he's showing a Wobbuffet, and he's showing a Dusclops. Wobbuffet, as I've said, he's got that ability, and Dusclops, he's trying to get into a Dusknoir, presumably the one that moves damage counters around. Because Wobbuffet's attack does more damage depending on how many damage counters are on my active Pokemon. So the theory is that you use Dusknoir to move the damage counters onto the active and then attack with Wobbuffet whilst blocking abilities. It's a very clever deck. So I get up to Flareon there, I put a bunch of Pokemon down, I'm putting my Silver Bangle on Pumpkaboo because of that Mewtwo, and then I'm going to Bicycle into 3 supporters. But that's not actually that bad, because I've got a bunch of Pokemon in the discard pile. So I can attach that DCE to the Flareon here, and then I'm going to be able to Lysandre to bring his Dusclops active and actually kill it. You can see there I've got 8 Pokemon in the discard pile. I think that was 8 Pokemon. And then that's going to do maybe 100 damage with Vengeance. No, it only does 90, so I must have had 7 Pokemon in the discard pile. It's hard to count that fast. And I've actually drawn into an escape rope, which is wonderful. Pumpkaboo is going to be doing a lot of damage. It's a psychic type and my opponent's got an entirely psychic deck. Which means if I play that escape rope, he's going to put something active and I'm going to be able to kill it. And then he plays Lissandra's trump card, and that card is one we don't want to see. It basically resets the deck. It puts everything back in the deck. So all of a sudden, I have no Night March Pokemon, or Pokemon at all, in my discard pile. Flareon's doing 20, Pumpkaboo's doing absolutely nothing. But I have a Skylar in hand, and my deck has been reset. And Wobbuffet has 110 HP and a weakness to Psychic. So if I play Escape Rope, he can put a Mewtwo up, or a Wobbuffet, or a Duskull. Now, if I Skylar for a Battle Compressor and discard 3 Lampent, Night March will be doing 60 damage, and I've got a Silver Bangle on Pumpkaboo, which means if he puts Mewtwo up, I do 90 and kill it, because it doubles to 180 because of the weakness. If he puts Wobbuffet up, I kill it because it does 60 and doubles to 120 and kills with the weakness. And if he puts Duskull up, it does 60 and kills it because it's only got 50 HP. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a wonderful, wonderful position to be in. I'm getting a KO, I'm 2 prizes up, and one thing which I'm very impressed with Night March, and this is the first video I've properly posted with Night March, one thing I'm impressed with is the speed with which this deck can operate. You saw how quickly I was able to get a bunch of Pokemon in the discard pile previously, and I've gone and done it again. He reset the decks. Essentially, the deck I'm playing, my opponent should play Lissandra's trump card, and I should crawl into a ball in the corner and start crying. But that's not happened. Now, admittedly, I had a Skylar, but I'm playing a lot of supporters here. And you see I draw a Joltik out of my discard pile there, which I can choose to either bench in the hope of getting a DCE, or Juniper away. One thing which I would, of course, point out here, if he gets a Dusknoir active, I've only got 30 HP on that Joltik, and as soon as there's 3 damage on the board, he can move those 3 damage onto Joltik and get a very easy KO. I don't want that to happen, so quite frankly, I'm not benching the Joltik. You'll notice also that Pumpkaboo has a weakness to Dark, which is why Wobbuffet's only doing 30 damage. Although next turn he'll be doing 30 plus that 30 again, so it will go up to 60. And again here, I've got my Ultra Ball so I can get rid of that Lampent because it does me no good because I can't play it. And I'm going to get rid of an N because I'm starting to get a bit of a lead here. And I don't want N. You're going to see how quickly I'm running through my deck here. And quite frankly, I don't want anything clogging up my deck, especially Ns. I get an Espeon because he's got a Psychic deck and Espeon's a Psychic Pokemon. That one's a no-brainer, quite frankly. Although without Deoxys, he can't do that much damage, unfortunately. And the question is, where do I put that Psychic energy? Now, he's played a Dimensional Valley, which means Pumpkaboo only needs a double colourless here. But if I play a Psychic on the Pumpkaboo, it means I can attack with just a Psychic without needing to draw a double colourless. Or I can put it on the Espeon, getting him ready to attack in the future. So now that I've got a few attackers on the field, I'm fine with discarding my Joltiks. I don't care anymore. I feel good about discarding the Joltiks, because especially now, he's put Dimensional Valley down, I don't play any counter stadiums, that stadium is staying on the field for the rest of the game now. Unless he plays a weird Pokemon with an attack that discards it, which it doesn't look like he's going to do. Which means now Pumpkaboo attacks for a DCE, Jolteon does no good, I've got a bunch of attackers already down, life, ladies and gentlemen, is good. And I'm going to get another EV down there. At this stage, that's probably more likely to be for a Flareon than an Espeon, so that I can be attacking with Flareon in the future. And I get the KO with Pumpkaboo, I go down to 3 prizes, and now I'm looking pretty good. If my opponent doesn't end me here, I'm going to have a big Colress next turn of a minimum of 7, a minimum of 5, because he's got the knockout there. And there were only 5 basic Pokemon, 5 bench Pokemon now. But we look at my discard, and I was looking to see what's there, because I'm worried about not drawing an energy, but I figure I've got a good chance of drawing an energy, so I'm going to put the Pumpkaboo active. If I draw an energy, I'm quids in here. Now, the reason I'm playing Battle Compressor here is, you can see I've got 23 cards left in my deck. I don't need Sacred Ash, I've got all the Pokemon I need, and I want them to stay in the discard pile. And I can afford to lose those. I can afford to lose an Ultra Ball, because I've got the Pokemon I need out, and now I want to discard another card. Essentially, what I'm doing here is I'm lowering the amount of cards in my deck, which means when I play my Colress for what will be, I believe, 7, because I'll have 5 bench and he's got 2, I am now statistically more likely to draw into the energy I need to get the KO, and that's important. So I play an Ultra Ball, getting rid of all the other cards. I grab a Pumpkaboo as an extra attacker, because I've still got DCE left in my deck. Now I Colress for 7, and I don't hit a Psychic Energy. And this is frustrating, because I don't really want to use a DCE to get the KO here, because that DCE will build up either the Pumpkaboo on the bench, or it will build up a second Flareon. I don't want to waste that DCE, because there's only one more left in the deck, and he's going to be able to end me to 1 here. But you'll notice I have 11 cards in my deck and a computer search in hand. I don't need Professor Juniper's. So I'm going to keep the bike, because then he's going to essentially end me to 1. If I draw the bike, I got 4 cards. And I'll keep 1 Juniper, but if I play that Juniper, I'm basically going to deck out. I don't need 3, 1 is more than enough. Then I get the Psychic Energy onto Pumpkaboo, and now I'm going to Night March for 360 damage. 9 Night March Pokemon in this card pile is 180 damage, times by 2 for the weakness, goes up to 360. And there's nothing he can do here. He can end me and hope I don't draw a DCE, but even then my Flareon's doing a fair amount of damage pretty quickly. So, and he's only doing 60 to my Flareon at the moment with that Mewtwo. So essentially, if he doesn't, and he hasn't ended me, so I've won. I put the Pumpkaboo active, attach the DCE, and I'm going to get the KO. This is a very fun game which shows quite how good Night March can be and how fast it can go off. Yeah, it's against a deck which is Psychic weak, which gives me a slightly unfair advantage, but if nothing else, this is a game which has shown you how Night March works, and it's something people will have been wondering. Thank you very much for watching. As always, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, stick a comment down below, and your homework, as always, if you've already subscribed, is to find a new person to subscribe. Thanks for watching. I will be back with more videos very soon. Look after yourselves until next we meet. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.